I keep getting like the topic.
That is a blessing I found. They don't even have to.
I love finding silly stickers.
I have a whole sketchbook. I remember you should draw.
All right, we are live. Let's do this thing.
Okay. Where did I stand?
Right there, anywhere in this area. Your screen's broadcast and you guys are broadcast.
How do we start?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hi there.
Okay.
Hi, folks at home. I'm Barnabas. This is Jimmy. And this is Chris. And they're grads at Seneca stream.
They graduated back in 2019. It's been years.
2019, so pre-pandemic. And they've been out in the industry, and they're going to tell you some secrets. I want you guys to take some notes. If you're watching this, then take some notes, put it in your notebook here. Just need one of these. And we're gonna talk about this, some secrets from the past. And they worked on Drawn to You.
All
Take it away.
So this is Christine Tran, and I'm Jimmy To. We're both graduates from 2019. We're fourth gen alumni, and we're here to give some industry insights. And after this panel, if you have any industry questions or animation help, we can help. We're both animators, so yeah, let's take a look. All right, table of contents. So we're gonna go through about us. We'll show our work, and then we'll talk about industry insights, how to be a star employee, what I wished I knew beforehand, society is rehearsed, mental health, developing the ego, BBS is something I made up, so don't worry, and how to study after graduation, and then a Q&A session. So, Chris, you want that?
Oh yeah, so my legal name is Christine Tran, but I went by Chris back in school, and that's kind of stuck with me through the industry, so don't mind that. It's a little nitpick. I was a revisionist animator for the last 4 or 5 years, give or take, and I worked at Guru and I worked at Nine Story.
Yeah. So after graduation or during graduation, sometimes a studio might hire you during this semester. They might come in and check your work, and I got lucky and became an intern. Wait, no, not intern. Whatever. I got hired at Yaza Animation for a feature film called Charlotte. Then after that, I did Green Eggs and Ham, and I just worked for Titmos and around the world as a freelancer for anime and a lot of random stuff. So I can talk about that, and we'll show our demo reels. If you have questions, yeah. All right. So let's click this. Oh, you already opened it? Okay, great. So this is like what your resume.
I think mine's colorful because I didn't want to be boring.
Yeah, my resume is extremely boring, but this one's really attractive. And I heard you say you can even put your headshot in your resume, and that helps form a connection. I'll talk about why after. So, yeah.
Well, that's it. I've looked everywhere. Ugh. And it would appear your stuffy has left the building.
You'll be safe in here. The log is like nature's bones.
For good things, listen while I name a few. Please do.
Make a wish.
Thanks. Exactly what I wished for.
Company downtimes anytime.
Then I can fly my helicopter up to the top of Go Go Goaty Mountain.
It's that, or Dinkelman grew wings and flew away from right where we're standing like a pretty bird. Ha!
That's my favorite, by the way. Hey, where's our disclaimer?
Yeah.
Can we please see the spin again? That was really good. The little orange cat spin.
Oh, the hazel spin. No, it's not back here. There it is.
That I can fly fly my helicopter up to the top of Go Go Goaty Mountain.
You can ask about that
It's
feed
or
racing. I can tell you
Dinkelman
more about that.
grew wings and
Because
flew
that's
away
not
from
racing,
right
right?
back.
That's a 3/4 back, front and back right? You have to like animate it.
Oh, that's not just
Yeah.
Later, you gotta get through all this first.
Don't worry, we're gonna run because it's very jam-packed. Yeah, this is my resume. It's not the prettiest, but it still gets the job done. At the end of the day, it's like, some studios get like 1,000 applicants per job, so they will breeze through yours. So you want to like at least have your name huge. You have a headshot or something to really discern yourself from the pack. Put it in, right? Or colors, I guess.
Oh, you work on help?
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, like Jimmy's been literally around the block when it comes to
So
like,
I have most
series.
demo reels, but you can only show 1 or 2 when you apply for a job.
Where's the Jewish swine? I am Dr. Albert's son.
Papa!
My dear, everything will be fine. Look after your mother.
Let's go. Austria. I managed for a time with false papers, but in the end I had to leave. And I found my way here, adopted by utterly like the children and your grandparents. So, I'm also a refugee.
Excuse me, sorry! I can try to.
This country!
Gregory Peck learned that the hard way. Twice, actually. Turns out he's kind of a moron.
Oh, hey, wait up! I'm Tobin. What's your name? Tobin is great.
Thank you.
I won't hurt you.
These ones
Come
are cleanup
on,
jobs.
come
I
here.
did cleanup for almost 1.5
You're a
to 2 years.
sweet little squeal. Hey!
Let's focus, Sam. Less you, more me.
Right. Be more like mom.
Right. There's a reason there's feet at the end. Because it kind of throws the hiring people off, so they remember you. But do whatever you want.
It's that feet kid.
Anime reel, but it's not. There's no English subtitles, so I don't know. It's up to you. Yeah.
osmosis. That's fine.
Anyone wants to go to anime? I can teach them. It's okay, bro.
頑張れすぐに道のないところへ すまないすまない大丈夫だからとくと味わうがいい勇者になり損なった人間の慣れの果てですしかし新世界生物に匹敵するほどの力は持っているはずです
前にひどいことを言ってしまったよな。ごめん。死ぬなよ。ヒュラ。
待って、エリル。エリル
てなわけでビバニューヨーク
Wait, also one for that.
Yeah, they didn't pay me.
Oh, wait, was that the scandal one?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. So honestly, I don't recommend working on anime. Like, but if you want to, for your cravings, I can teach you how to do that.
Yeah.
I did 80 cuts to earn $2,000. So we'll do that. Yeah. And if we want, we have extended show reels because sometimes during jobs you get really fun sequence. I got the opening sequence to this movie, and that was a very proud moment for me. So yeah. Lots of depressing
Mama?
Why was I never told about her? How did she die?
Where is the Jewish swine? I am Dr. Albert Solomon.
Papa!
My dear, everything will be fine. Look after your mother. Let's go.
Sorry if that offends anybody. There's also an 18 plus scene I did not want to do. You have breaks on your job. Yeah.
Cool.
We also didn't have those massive
I have
controllers
been
back
talking.
then. So
It's nearly impossible to get exit visas to leave this forsaken place, but
so a lot of things I actually
we can say your
automated,
grandparents are
and then I
Seneca.
used
Austria.
Rig to clean up.
I managed for a time with false papers, but in the end I had to leave. And I found my way here, adopted by utterly like the children and your grandparents. So, I'm also a refugee. Good night.
Bye.
They're waiting.
Yeah, this one was hard. But then I do some ring on top. Yeah, ring rotations are horrible.
It depends on the rig itself too, and it's capable.
There are lots of mistakes in the industry. As long as the arts are great, everything else won't be caught on camera, right? Yeah. There's more. Like, I don't know.
I think that's good for
Yeah,
showing us stuff.
Okay, yeah,
Let's
sure.
let's either want to talk about go through your presentation or tell us your stories.
Yeah, we'll do that.
There you go.
Alright. So industry insights. So this one, you don't have to be a star employee, but this one just helps on creating a good impression of damaging your mental health, I would say. So quota, shame, new week, new me. So what does that mean? So every week you might have an extremely high quota depending where you work. Like, I don't.
I think as of right now, current industry standard is a 2 to 3 week cycle. 1 week for posing and like rough animation, 1 week for animating, and 1 week for revisions if there's time for that in the schedule.
Yeah. So.
And depending on the show difficulty level and your rank, you get like a certain amount of seconds or a certain amount of scenes you need to finish within that time frame.
Yeah. So back then, I think a lot of my friends and brothers, they got like 40 to 50 seconds per week. Nowadays, they have shows that are 30 seconds. And for Vancouver, they do a lot of 10 seconds per week for some reason, or maybe because of the difficulty. And one major thing they teach us is forget last week. So every week you're behind with quota, don't stack it to the next week and kill your health, right? So the idea is if you hit your quota this week, then you can consider doing more. But as long as you hit it this week, you are onto a great start, right? Because we're in it for the long run.
Also, like if you're behind a quota, just talk to your supervisor. The longer you delay that, the worse it gets for yourself.
Yeah.
Because like the sooner you talk to your supervisor, the sooner it gets delegated. Someone else gets to finish it. we have one less thing to worry about, and then just move on to the next quota cycle.
Yeah, at least for Canada, they prioritize health these days. So if you need accommodations, just talk, right? Totally okay. Multiply deadlines by 2. So just because you can finish it tomorrow or Wednesday, don't tell anybody, right? Just tell them Friday, right? And you'll leave quite a good impression if you finish sooner. But this one, it's because of mental health, right? If you make a promise and you break it, it will eat you alive. Okay, communication about late, emergency help. Just anytime a situation with family or anything happens whatsoever, please communicate. Radio silence is really bad and will damage your mind, I guess. The director is your friend. They help you get paid. So a lot of us might be very scared to get approval or to show really bad, incomplete shots, if that's your assumption, right? But the director is there to help you get approval from the clients so that you can get paid, especially as a freelancer. Every approval you get is your pay. So take advantage of your director. They'll probably teach you a lot if the studio helps. Act it out, fast is slow, slow is fast. So a lot of us, as we go deeper into our career, we forget to act, right? You forgot how to stand up and act up your shots, and you went straight into it, and maybe you get stuck and things get very complex and hurts your head. When I say fast is slow, I mean like sometimes we skip steps and go straight to cleanup or straight to the rig in-betweens. And oftentimes that actually takes too much time and puts you behind. So I recommend taking it slow. If you chisel one part at a time, you might finish a lot faster.
Rough animating never leaves you, by the way. You will continue to rough animate no matter what. Don't skip it. It's for the best. Do not skip it.
Yeah. Ask questions after you've tried. So sometimes if you're really scared of being annoying, maybe ask every 5 cuts or like to your friends at least, right? And after you've tried at least 5 to 10 minutes, because I think during quarantine and after graduation, a lot of us forget how to be self-disciplined after being taught by teachers, right? Because teachers will usually guide you all the way, and suddenly you don't have anyone to guide you. You might give up often and say, I can't do things, but usually after 10 minutes, you might be able to overcome paralysis at work. If you're stuck, ask immediately. Sometimes I've had shots where I didn't ask for weeks, and that backfired.
Yeah, 10 minutes is the golden rule. Anything longer than 10 minutes is setting yourself for failure. I had a zombie shot for like 2 whole days because I didn't ask earlier, and that's on me. Do not be me.
All right. Tell problems, prepare solutions. I already handled it. So what does that mean? Sometimes scene setup might screw up or somebody down the line screwed up and it will take way too long to send it back. But you can send it back. But sometimes it's better to just solve it. And if you say you already handled it or you prepare a solution pitch, like maybe you find production is always having problems in this area, slowing everyone down, then it's best to announce it and you tell it if you have a solution. You don't have to be a star employee though. I have to remind that. You can just be in the background, enjoy your life. It's fine. Drawovers, revisions, retakes, keep it up. So you're gonna sometimes get revisions up to like version 17. It has nothing to do with how bad we are, right? It's just life. You learn from mistakes, and
clients can be picky. Sometimes not even you, it's just clients.
Yeah, it's usually like what the client wants, not what the director or you wants, right? So keep a notebook. Everybody at the studios I've worked at had notebooks on their desk. I didn't know what it was for back then. I used to brute force animation, but as you start doing very complex shots, you want to break it down, and you want to sometimes speak out loud, because if you're really stuck, you might talk to yourself. It's like, what should I do? First, I'll open the cut. I don't know how to do this cut. Where do I start? Start talking to yourself. You're not psychotic. It's normal. Sometimes you discover stuff as you speak, right? Like maybe ignore the hat animation. Don't do the weapons until the end, or lots of complex stuff you can break down. The first time is out of naivety. The second is out of courage. So what does that mean? That means when you're a student and you don't know too much yet, well, you know a lot because you're your final year. And Barney's quite critical about the film.
We love you, B-Man.
Yeah. So when you learn too much, you will experience immense paralysis. I think this is where a lot of people quit their careers, in my honest opinion. So the second time that occurred. So now you know a lot, but the first time how you learned was actually kind of the correct way, where you just stumble and fall forward, right? So now you're doing things knowingly you're gonna do it wrong, but that is the way to learn a lot, right? This goes for outside of animation too. Anything you learn in life, cooking, right? Just because you know how to cook doesn't mean you can't screw up, right? So forgive yourself. Job hunting, copy studio reel. I think for me at least, this is a big one. You can just open up a studio website and see what they're showing, and that's pretty much what they want. So maybe copy it. There's no shame in copying and learning from them, because that's literally what you do at work. Right? You have to match everybody else's animation style. Yeah. And yeah.
I had a few coworkers who, off their first interview with the NDA sign and all that, they would like copy the show style and send it in a secondary email back saying, "Hey, I tested out the style. Do you think this works?" This is also a viable way of like showing the student that you can do the show style. You make your own rig, you animate the same style as the pre-demo or pre-reel they show you. It's something you could potentially do. I don't know how many people actually do it, but I know people who've been hired for doing that, so that's an option if you guys want to do that.
And because you're copying, it's usually for nonprofits, so it's perfectly legal. And anything you copy in becomes a permanent skill, right? So you want to be an asset, not a liability. When you want to get hired, just make it like sound like you're an asset, right? You don't need to really talk about how bad you are or how bad you think you are, because honestly, I've seen a lot of the work during the live stream. You guys are incredible, like way too high level. So yeah, schedule on Google Calendar end of month or job hunt or documenting anything you need to do, right? Because for our mental health sake, a lot of us get overwhelmed by things. But as Barney teaches you just the journal, write it up, right? If you keep it in your head, you might go mental. So set it and forget it. Your phone can notify you like, hey, time to send out job applications, so you can detach yourself. Animation test 1,000 applicants. At least from studios I've heard, recent years, like the last year and this year, every opening they get about 1,000 applicants. The animation director has to go through them really damn fast. So that's why you want to stick out, and you'll usually get 1 minute at most, I would say.
It's like a minute 30 is the maximum for a demo reel nowadays. Anything longer is gonna be really bad. Don't go over a minute and a half.
I do.
Like minimum, like 1 minute is probably around the golden area you want to say, but a minute 30 is fine, as far as I'm aware anyway.
Some studios give multiple tests as an option in case you want to be an action animator or acting. You can overachieve and do all the tests at once, and it just looks great on you if you have the time. Resumes, interviews, negotiations, work. So honestly, art skills, in my opinion, is like less than half the game. Most times it's how good you are at talking and I guess courting the studio. So yeah, 1 second. Taxes, bills, how to validate the price you ask for. So some of us have really low self-esteem, and we might try to lowball the heck out of ourselves. But if you treat yourself already as a father, mother, or provider, right? Because you will be some form of a guardian in the future, and you pay rent. Even if you don't pay rent, pretend you do, right? So
Everything's subscription now, you pay some sort of rent.
because you never know what happens to you, right? You suddenly might have to be on rent, so that's fine. Yeah, don't put yourself down, let others find out. You really don't need to tell anybody your issues, other than health problems and stuff. So usually you're already good enough. What I wish I beforehand. So you wanted to talk about the Excel sheet?
Oh, well, Depending on the studio, each studio has their own way of tracking and organizing their productions to their scenes and shots. I found while working at Nine Story, they use a lot of Excel, like an insane amount of Excel. If you know how to use Excel, you will save yourself so much time. I even surprised my director and supervisor with like random things I Googled about Excel just to help organize the sheets better. Like having random like organizing skills will help you in the long run, but that's one less thing to worry about. Especially since I had 3 different Excels just for revisions because they kept changing their mind on their format. It's not you, it's just they change their minds a lot. Production is funny, guys.
Yeah, I don't think I've run into anybody who hasn't used Excel at work, but it takes a second to learn, so I wouldn't stress it. For sticky notes, some computers come with sticky notes or you use real life ones. I would recommend writing down all your shots so that it's out of your mind. You want to focus one thing at a time. Try not to do 10 shots at once. That's not going to help. Yeah. Today I will. This is something Barney taught us back in school. Usually you want to schedule out your day because as an adult, when you graduate and you don't schedule, you might end up losing your day and feeling bad. So at least come up with something to feel good. Yeah, and check it out. Pomodoro output. Don't give up without trying, at least in it. So Barney talks a lot about Pomodoro. I used to ignore him, right? I thought this is stupid or ADHD, I can't do it, stuff like that. But ironically, as you get a very immense quota and maybe you want a very difficult job for some reason, you're gonna have to output a ton. And the reason I wrote output is because when we're in school and we learn from social media or so, we input too much. It's taught in newer schools nowadays, media overload. When you input too much and you don't output, it kind of just gets stuck in your head and you don't give yourself enough time to process your mind and catch up to the future, right? So, yeah, usually when you hit the Pomodoro timer, you just draw. Like, even if you don't believe in yourself, you grind and chisel out. And before you know it, you can do very difficult cuts. And as you get very good at Pomodoro, you might realize I can only do 1 drawing per hour. So you calculate upon that, right? I am a senior professional, a director, an athlete. As a master, how must I think? So what does that mean? I'm not gonna say don't, but try not to say I wish, I want to be eventually one day, right? If you immediately say right now, I am a professor, you'll encompass that title. And now I have to think about how I have to care for the students, right? As a master, how must I think? As a top 1% artist, what kind of lifestyle must I live? Okay. You're talented, but I feel you have not met your potential yet. Barney gave me this critique on my grades back in school. Like he said, I would find my potential in the industry. So every year I ask myself, have I met my potential yet? So, because even if we're talented, honestly, hard work trumps talent. And yeah, you might actually not ever realize how to make full use of your talent. But if you keep asking, have I met my potential? Am I truly living my life to its fullest? Am I truly living my ability to its fullest? Oftentimes, not yet.
It plays automatically, you can't give that.
Yeah, that's your animation test, right?
Yeah, because that was the first time I was given a scene to animate. And it was a little dance. Very fun.
Yeah. I wouldn't set the bar too high for animation in the industry. Honestly, most of us can get jobs as is. So
I literally came into Seneca with 0 animation experience. I went out with a job, okay? It's possible.
back then. So we don't know about now yet, but try your best, and that's okay. So society is rehearsed. The reason I want to talk about this slide is you might see a lot of amazing artists on, I don't know what platform.
All social media, so too many now.
Yeah. The thing is, a lot of it's rehearsed. Nobody, like if you ever watch those YouTube speed art videos, like that's not how an artist learns at all. You have to truly get lost when you learn art. Vocal exercises. So if you think you have a bad voice, probably not. Like for social media and for social platforms, we do humming. I have a lot of voice actor friends who taught me Even before here, I hummed and did the IEUAO. So yeah, repetition of magic. So like those drawings over there, I've drawn like Kid Goku doing that same pose about like 10 times. And everything else I've done 10 times, right? How often have you finished an art and ever went back to it? Or you did like drawing, have you ever drawn the same gesture twice or thrice? So those things, the more you do it, the more you solidify what you learn. You don't always have to learn new things, right? When you learn a language, like those Chinese characters, I've learned it all. You start realizing, oh, if I memorize the stroke orders, I could replicate just from my mind, right? I could draw Ninja Turtles 100 times. You have to at work. Okay, a public sketchbook and a scribble book. So this one's quite simple. It's just like a lot of people show up a lot of amazing art online. That's their public sketchbook. But the truth is, behind the scenes, we scribble and screw up all the damn time, right? We get lost. You're not broken or anything. You will get stuck and just sit at your desk and stare, right? Scheduled send. So for videos, for Twitter, for any social media and emails, you can schedule your send. And what that does is it disconnects your emotions. So you don't feel like high anxiety when you post on Twitter, for example. It's like, oh, nobody's liking my stuff. Like, you just forget. So do this, do that, the fly leading the blind. A lot of people are gonna tell you, don't do this, do that. That means ignore me, right? We're just advice or guidance, but sometimes we're close to your age. We don't truly know how the world works.
And everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah, because sometimes your classmates might tell you the wrong advice, and that might traumatize you for years. So yeah, you will undo it every 10 years. That's just something I heard from my seniors. You relearn a lot in life. You relearn how to breathe, how to live a normal day. The starting line's different for everyone, right? You can start 20, 30 years old. Don't feel bad. Like, we'll all get there at like 540. Suboptimal is better than optimal. So I'm gonna put this in gaming terms. Sometimes you play a strategy game and you wanna be too perfect with your team. You stay at level 1 and keep optimizing, right? That doesn't quite work for our industry. Sometimes it's better for you to get real experience. Like, cause you're gonna be stuck at level 1. Why not just get to level 20 and then continue life happy, right? So you fall forward, and plus you always have to start on easy mode. A lot of people tell you to start on hard mode in life, but all that does is stress you out, right? But if you do things easy, you're like, okay, I had enough, now I'll add another layer. All right, tell me, and I will forget. Everything I'm talking about, you probably will forget, but maybe the feeling will remain. Show me, and I might remember. So maybe I show you pictures, how to animate, you might remember. Involve me, and I will know. I don't know if you want to be embarrassed, but say it. Say involve me, and I will know. Please. All right, you'll remember today. All right, great. Oh, wait, sorry. I wanted to bring that one up because, like, if you don't remember things, you're not dumb, right? Sometimes the teaching method's wrong, and they say a teacher should be able to teach the same subject 4 different ways for the same subject, right? Mental health, navigating the ego, or developing the ego, right?
Well, Jimmy, just to pause as well. So with these pages that I gave you guys too, a great way of remembering things for me always is doodling while I'm listening to things. So part of this too is you're gonna listen better if you have that page open and you're making notes and you're drawing pictures, because then those pictures will bring back these memories as they come back. So it's a little trick. Continue.
You would definitely forget our names, but when you see the picture, you might remember.
I think it's way too common. Everyone has a first name.
And that's another important thing. I forgot to mention for communication, like if I slow my voice down and play with the rhythm, you might remember better. Because if I just speak it too fast, it's just gonna go through, right? All right, so late bloomer. Honestly, most of us are gonna be late bloomers. If you ever meet an early bloomer and get jealous and feel bad about yourself, honestly, you're gonna get there at some point in your life. You might discover an extreme talent after graduation 5 years later. So yeah, baby steps. When I say baby steps, I mean to break things down to a ridiculously easy and achievable step, right? So if you face paralysis, you might give up a lot, run to your bed when you're working from home. But if you break it down like so easy that I could sit at my desk, my first step is sit at the desk, open the file, right? What do I do now? Talk to yourself. I feel stuck. I don't know what the hell to do. So maybe scribble, animate a hand, ignore the whole body, right? Or maybe we'll exercise, do something like kneeling or wall push-ups. Not the big stuff. You're not lazy. Life is inherently overwhelming. Honestly, like we're all chill people and we're not that ambitious, but how does it? Yeah, just you're not lazy. Sometimes we need to do a lot of self-direction, right? Because right now school guides you, right? But when you graduate, no one's gonna tell you today I will, or you don't. You have to make up your own schedule and play around, right? And it's gonna be humiliating sometimes to restart life, but that's how it is. Exercise now instead of waiting for back pain and surgeries. So I don't know, at least all of my friends and me, we've had extreme back pain from work. Exercise, stand up every hour maybe.
Another form of Pomodoro, by the way. Every time your timer goes up, just stand up for a couple minutes.
That one too. Like I would say seriously take the exercise seriously because you can make money anytime and get good at art or jobs, but your health can decline and never come back. Okay, go outside, go shopping, buy milk, change your light bulb. So if you have severe anxiety, or you might develop it from working from home, if that happens, or due to the situation, sometimes, we might have a lot of art skills, but we have no life skills. So if you try mundane tasks like buying milk, changing a light bulb, that actually might be the trigger to your happiness, right? Journal, therapy, shame, understanding your standards. Like I said before, I didn't journal, I didn't listen to Barney. So nowadays, I do journal, and you have to address to yourself, like, how am I feeling right now? Like, I kind of feel like shit right now, why? Right? Instead of running away and suppressing your feelings, eventually you have to address it, because it will help push your career forward. Because if you have mental problems, that might actually help, screw you over at work, right? But it takes a lot of time, right? It's a 5 to 10 year process. And sometimes you have to say it's understanding your own standard, because you might think this is society standard that, oh, I have to draw this way and all that. But it actually might be deep down inside your own standard, how you have to act and all that to make yourself happy. The inner child, no matter how old we are, we have to treat ourselves nicely, right? Yeah, ask yourself how you're feeling right now, annoyed, happy, bored, address it. And then sometimes, if you want to be a guardian to yourself, right? Because you might have a best friend, or imaginary best friend say, here, let me do that for you. That feels so good, right? So sometimes when you have something impossible to do on your film or work, maybe your alter ego could say, here, Jimmy, let me do that for you. Here, Justin, let me do that for you. So, learn to fall in love with yourself. You can fall in love with a lot of people, but maybe you hate yourself deep down. But take the hint of why you fell for other people in the first place. What makes Barney so attractive, right? Like I'm serious. Like, why was he such a cool role model, right? And then you start picking up on his behavior, and then you apply it to yourself, right? Schedule a cry hour. This one's important, right? Our stress and anxiety is uncontrollable in this industry, right? So on Google Calendar, you can schedule maybe Sunday night, 10 p.m. You can cry. So what happens at work, or even right now, it's like, I don't want to do this right now, right? So, but you can tell yourself, okay, but I can cry Sunday night instead. Or I can go to it, right? Maybe it could be next week, right? Depends on you. But this is actually something taught in top in some of the top universities, I guess. I don't know. I've done it, it works. And then oftentimes when you delay your cry hour, by Sunday night, you might be really happy. Because like I endured it, I finished all my stress, now I'm happy. There's nothing to cry about. What do I want to do? So I put want in capital because sometimes as artists, we're not the most disciplined, so we might accidentally play games or read manga during work hours, or we might do a lot of things that actually harm our mental health. So if we can sit with ourselves and learn and study the self, right? And say, okay, I notice I play games or run to my bed and sleep 6 hours during work, and I feel bad, right? So you start recognizing your impulse and you start doing what you truly want. I truly want to finish this cup right now, and it would really make me happy. Please, like, I'll sit down and try my best. And you start maturing and you learn a lot. Forgive yourself. You know, even if you know all the answers to the world, like it doesn't matter. You're gonna still screw up sometimes. Forgive yourself, right? Just because you know how to animate and maybe Barney tells you about the bad cop stuff or how to make a great film, you have to allow yourself to make really bad films after graduation or anything you want, because how else can you learn, right? Yeah. Be selfish, invite respect. How does this benefit me? So this is a tip I got from a lot of seniors. Like in your 20s, you're gonna feel really guilty when you can't give back to someone, right? Maybe somebody drove you to school, bought you coffee, but you didn't have the money at the time, right? What the best thing you could do for that person is to help yourself, and maybe by your 30s, you could start giving back to people, right? And how does this benefit me? So why should I come here and give a guest speaker lesson to you guys today? Well, it does benefit me because public speaking is really difficult and we have to prepare, rehearse, recall. I'm just going to briefly talk about recalling, but sometimes when you do learn a lesson or you learn a gesture, try to recall it with your eyes closed or just from memory, right? Because we live in such a fast-paced industry, we forget everything and we don't improve sometimes. But oftentimes if we slow down, we can recall the last animation we did, the exact steps, how we reanimated it or drew it, and it will start solidifying in your brain, right?
It's kind of like when your computer crashes and you have to reanimate your shot anyway. You're like, "Ugh, well, I know how to do it, so I'm going to do it twice as fast now."
Oh yeah, it's like funny fact, sometimes your computer will crash on you and still do that anyway.
Or you hit the bucket tool and harmony overloads and crashes. And then
There's a lot of fun things that happen during work.
yeah, so sometimes I've lost 6 hours of work because sometimes harmony autosave is off for some reason. I don't know why. And the second time you do it, you animate ridiculously fast. And that's something I wanted to bring up with the redo things, right? I'll talk about it in the next slide, actually. So let's move on. You can give back when I already talked about that. It will be fun, I promise. So I had a best friend who kept telling me, like, you know, for any bad situations, she would tell me, it'll be fun, I promise. You know, when you start cleaning your house, it'll be fun. Honestly, yeah, it will be fun. Because it's delayed gratification. When you do something you really hate, like exercise, I'm gonna keep talking about that, because all of you should exercise. Like, no matter what, give it your best, right? Because the fact is, nobody truly enjoys the pain from exercise, but the delayed gratification is permanent happiness, right? Rather than instant gratification. And you don't truly ever notice the delayed gratification. You'll just be in a happy space permanently as you live a happy life. Habit thinking. This is a cool one, I would say. I'll start off with like one habit. For example, I made a habit where when I see a period, I will breathe, I will close my eyes, right? Like breathe 10 seconds. Okay, so you will have to relearn human functions after graduation.
Oh no.
No, I'm serious.
Oh no.
Because like you might actually forget how to breathe at work, or you might not know how to do a lot of things because maybe friends invited you out back then. Eventually, you have to learn to invite yourself out because no one's there for you anymore. So you learn how to wake up early, whatever makes you happy, right? 21 days of manual effort. So So apparently, due to psychology and books, they say it takes about an average of 21 days. So this one's important. The reason I say manual effort is because you have a lot of amazing habits developed from school or younger, right? Because somebody in your life guided you and you didn't know you built such a damn good habit. But after graduation, you could reform all your habits to be even better, or if you already have bad habits, you could relearn it. It will be painful. You'll feel a lot of resistance. Just endure it, right? Breathe. This one's my abbreviation, BBSS plus CA, BBS for short. You can make your own abbreviations and mottos in life. For me, it's breathe, blink, sit up straight, smile. Positivity is a choice, conscious action. So this is where I start linking my habits. If I breathe, I'm gonna close my eyes. If I close my eyes or breathe or any of the above, then I'll smile, right? I also have like rules. If I walk through a door, I have to smile. It's silly, but it puts a real smile down your heart. Yeah, just breathe. That's the biggest one. Breathe, blink. I don't know about you, but a lot of my friends and me, during work, we don't breathe and blink when we focus. So we have to actually write it on sticky notes. And that's where Pomodoro helps a lot. Every time it's done, or you see the timer, it triggers your head. Oh my God, I need to breathe, right? I didn't become a mountain overnight. So this one, the tip is like, I became a mountain by stacking pebbles, sand, rocks, right?
Foundations, yippee!
Yeah, you're gonna do a lot of things you find very humiliating in life, or things you used to be shy about. That's where happiness comes from. And if you start doing small things like carrying milk bags, changing light bulbs, cleaning the toilet, you will grow a lot of confidence in life. Because I think oftentimes we all have the art skills, but we feel a bit under people. So we can still address that over time. And yeah, remember walking to school for 2 hours in the snow, those kind of things, when you start reviewing them, maybe every Friday night, end of month, end of year, reflect, right? Because sometimes work or life is so hard, you might break down if you don't have a past, right? Sometimes we want to abandon our past life, but that past makes you ridiculously strong, and you won't bend when you face tough situations. Okay, next.
Jimmy, I'm gonna throw one other on you too. Gardening is a lovely thing. Growing something and caring for something, because it's I have a little community garden plot, and I grow everything so tall, and everyone's like, "This is amazing," but it's just like that's for me is a great way to relax and unwind. Is like going even like after I put my kid to bed, I'll sneak out and do some gardening, and it's just like kind of a guilty habit, but it's just so it's great for your soul.
And if you want to start off really baby stuff with gardening, try succulents. Succulents are best.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the real life things that's important, right? When we live such a digital life, we start to feel incapable as humans. So we should slowly address things over the years, all right? How to study after graduation. This one, we're gonna show more artwork, and then we'll do a Q&A, because we can't cover everything just from imagination. So if you have any animations to show, we could totally help. Fear of failure is the biggest one, right? You're gonna be so scared to screw up at work, but it's after graduation, you no longer have a teacher or guidance, right? So how else do we continue to grow and learn when we're by ourselves? Failure. So just like how you do assignments and you give something you're not happy with, the regret is the biggest part where we learn in the industry, I would say. Because if you delay a project for 1 year, like waiting does nothing, right? It just eats at you and you don't learn much from it, other than to work fast, like just act on it. Right?
What do you mean delay a project for a year?
So like, for example, I have artworks I haven't finished for 5 years, 500 of them. Right, so
endless work in progresses.
yeah, that's
Never
the
ends.
thing. So when you start finishing everything, you learn and you accept, because as an adult, you have to make the decision, this is done, right? Like you can't just get approval from Bonnie saying, is this good enough? You have to tell yourself, this is good enough for now. I can revisit it later, right? Paralysis, well, I don't know how many people deal with it, but I had extreme paralysis for work and art to the point where it would get me into bad situations, like meetings about, hey, you don't have anything, right? So this one's just, it goes back to the therapy thing. Try to respect yourself, love yourself, and discover yourself, right? Setting the cart before the horse. This one was a big mistake a lot of my friends and us, like me, do. So we come up with grand plans, or maybe we look 40 years into the future of our career and say we want to make films and all that, or we want to make a whole series. But sometimes you should just get started and make one tiny thing. Make a hand, a face, right? Don't get too ahead of yourself when you have nothing to work with. Take actionable steps. So don't say, oh, it's my dream to be an animation director at 34 years old. How, right? When you start asking the how, you start taking the steps. And take it, right? No matter how many times you make plans, see it through, right? A lot of us get high or a dopamine rush off of making plans, and we show off to our friends, this is my plan, right? Sometimes don't show off and just try it out, see how it goes, and you learn something. Learn to swim first before looking at the end of the ocean. So this is just an analogy for the previous one. Like, don't look at the, I don't know, Powerhouse or whatever famous studio, and maybe start with a walk cycle, 10 walk cycles. School assignments were not a one-time deal. It's a treasure trove. So a lot of people mistake this after graduation because, you know, we're all traumatized. We're like graduated happy. But it's actually a secret. Like, if you go back to your first year assignments, that's usually where you could land a job. Because, yeah, you start redoing your walk cycles. All right, there it is. You did one walk and felt bad. Now try 100 walks and see if you can still feel bad. This is ability trauma, in my honest opinion. Because you might think you're horrible at a subject, right? Or maybe you're really bad at one. But like, when you do it again and again, and you realize how fast you are, like when Barney said, when our files crash, right? We might think we're really untalented and slow at work, but oftentimes we don't even get the opportunity to do something we've already learned, right? So, like, I've never got the same shot twice, most times, I would say. But yeah, over the years, I've done probably like 50 walks, I don't know.
The next time will always be faster if you were knowing basics.
Yeah, because there's that story of for the circus, when there's a baby elephant, they get whipped. And then when they're giant, bigger than the circus, they don't know how to fight back, right? So you might be giants and you just don't know it. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. This one's kind of subjective, but I would say this one applies to real life. When you maybe live in quarantine, work from home, you might wake up the same every day and still feel bad. Maybe change up your day or start reviewing what's not working for you and what is working for you, right? And even for life drawing, a lot of people get into the trap of doing infinite gestures the same way. But sometimes maybe you should finish your gesture or redo the same gesture. Right? Just play around. Like, if you find your mental health declining and going insane, that might be the answer. Teaching helps you connect your neural pathways and get light bulb moments. So I've taught for maybe 4 or 5 years online around the world. And that was probably the fastest way for me to learn, because you have to organize your thoughts and output it, right? Because sometimes your thoughts are all scattered in all the lessons you've learned throughout the years, and even more lessons you keep inputting every day. So when you tell a friend and try to explain it, you might screw up, totally okay. But it actually benefits you more than the friend when you explain it. So give it a try.
For sure. When you teach something, then you understand it more, because you have to understand it more in order to share it to somebody. So anything I teach, then I'm like, oh, that's how you actually do it.
Yeah.
As the coders call it, rubber duck talking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you might feel like a yapper though, right? You talk too much and you feel bad because you're not actually working, and you've never tried it yourself. So try it. That's why I say actionable steps and see it through. So whatever you talk about, maybe give it a try. This lesson is actually one that Barney taught back in 3rd year. I don't know, do you remember? So you said to draw a happy line, now draw a sad line, now draw a surprise line, right? So this is breaking it down to the purest form of baby steps, I would say. Instead of doing a full body and getting very distracted, maybe animate a line. Like just, if you have to do a happy, angry, just one line, animate it. Prove it to me, right? Demonstrate. Maybe act it out if you seriously didn't know. And another technique we're taught in 1st year from a mentor teacher, Christy Moore, animate with your hand. So when she taught us ball dance, she did this. And then we just, sometimes I still do it. And I know like, oh, there's a lot of frames hanging up here, right? And then you start doing crazy shit with your hand. Okay, yeah.
Another fun one on that to interject is I saw this at one Taffy conference that we had, but a guy was doing video game stuff, and when he would animate something, he would make the sound for it. So it was like, woo, whoop. And then,
I do that all the time.
and then that really helps with the animation too. So sometimes I'll do that too. I'm like, how does this go? Whoop, 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 whoop. And then just put that sound into your emotion.
Yeah, I would have like notes that were just like me and my supervisor going back and forth with sounds like either like woo or like woo or like woo woo. And then we just like gesture back and forth for like a solid 15 minutes trying to get the notes across.
Love it.
That was when we were in high.
Oh, that was over camera.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, there is musicality in animation, right? So if there's noise or it gets stuck, then that would be a problem. Alright, so I don't know. Alright, I taught a lot of formats. You can apply it to anything. Sometimes
Hold on to second.
one technique is to just make all the frames first and spam next keyframe and just dot, 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 dot. Right? Take a fat brush and animate it. And you can feel all of, like, so many unique motions. Like maybe if I space it here, and then now I got this unique animation with a ball. And you just test it all, right? Like, rather than using a full body and thinking you're really good at animation, sometimes it's better to go back to basics. And if you don't know how to, if you don't know how to do perspective animation, if you've ever learned to do the floor grid for layout, like finding the midpoint each side, you can translate an even spacing directly to perspective like this. If you want a more extended lesson, I could do that later or online. So, all right.
You're never gonna leave.
I know. Right?
Might as well for hiring him.
All right. Do lots of block cycles. Like this is just more for like doing 100. It's fine. Sometimes people might give very nasty comments and traumatize you. It's fine. Right.
It's a learning process. One step at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. More block cycles. At work, sometimes they might not give you a cut, and they tell you just animate crowd walking because they don't trust you at first. And it's a necessary step, right? I was arrogant. I thought, oh, I want to go straight to cut. But as I got higher up into the advanced cuts, you like most times people don't actually animate characters walking across the screen. They actually are very smart and do it all in place. The jump cycle, the block, and then they tween it across, right? And you can actually mix it. You scribble across, then you do it as a cycle, then you put it in. Okay. And then a walk and talk is ridiculously hard.
Especially if the feet are also in the scene too.
More baby steps to develop your confidence for animation. Sometimes just fool around, draw something, give it a month laugh, give it a blink at different timings. That's just 2-3 drawings, I don't know. And it feels good. This is paprika. Like when you study things, maybe make it fun for yourself. I do box animations. Like I make canvases with boxes and illustrate and do everything really tiny. Because sometimes maybe you're working too big. And when you do these really small things, it raises the heck out of your confidence. And then that's just an example of how rough. Like you can do anything as long as you feel the motion and musicality.
Remember, only you're gonna be the one watching and reading that cutscene. I mean, rough animation anyway. So as long as you understand, you're fine.
Yep. I'm just gonna quickly talk about the Ninja Turtle one. the funny thing is, no matter how high up you go in the animation hierarchy, like you might feel weird, I guess, because your friends will praise you. But I'm actually like kind of one of the, I'm not gonna say worst, but everyone else is better than me on Ninja Turtles. Like there's seniors who do like 5 times my quota, and they do the feature-like animation. The world's big, really big. Yeah.
Oh, see, back to what Barney's talked about doodling. This is what I do during meetings. I just got obsessed over one character and I drew her endlessly.
Okay, this is actually kind of important to talk about. You can doodle and study your character outside of work, because sometimes you have to put the time in, right? You're new to the job, and yeah, you don't have to do scenes on the go. Maybe you practiced it on paper while on the subway. I used to travel 2 hours for work and draw Charlotte on the train or Green Eggs. Sometimes I still draw Turtle on paper. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, I just love Pixel. It's fine.
So this is just more for inspiration. Like, don't give up, right?
I did get really good at drawing her after this.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, curse card, because I love doing that.
Sometimes you can screw around with the rigs. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, so like the joke on that production was that the rigs were like okay, but also really awful. So I thought it'd be funny if I just ripped all the rigs and slapped them together. I got approval by the director, the art director, and the voice actors. That was fun. This personal art.
Yeah, after graduation, there's something called freedom. So you work your 9 to 5 job. Sometimes you have to put in extra hours. I think studies say for ADHD, you take 10 to 12 hours to make up for 8 hours of work. So don't feel bad if you need more time. And for adult autism, you might sleep 10 to 12 hours. Totally okay, right?
Or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, this personal art.
Yeah. This one's my life drawing. I make templates, so like I used to do like 200 gestures every morning. It was a bit excessive.
Oh.
But that's where I learned like, hey, don't like do 2 gesture, like finish your drawings. So the middle one's more advanced, and then eventually you get really damn good if you really want. And if you have any concerns about anime for some reason, I'll teach it late. Not, I don't know, online.
He kind of wants to teach anime, guys.
I don't recommend it as a job, but as a happiness thing. Or, you know, we all live one life, right? So yeah, this is just more process work. Sometimes none of us are good at colors, so you just fuck it and find it up, right? Just slap it on, and you progress better and better, right? Yeah, that's it. Q&A.
Wow. What a great presentation, guys.
Thank you. We made it like on Friday, Saturday, and I reviewed like every night.
Wow.
That's why I see societies rehearse. You don't just magically.
I mean, everything is edited online nowadays, so.
Yeah. So yeah. If you have any questions, feel free. If you don't, totally okay. Matthew. Yeah.
You talked earlier about the first time out of naivety, getting overwhelmed and wanting to quit. Did you first experience that working on third year films?
Just what do you say?
Honestly, I think my third year films were too like overwhelmed by everything doing at the same time all at once.
I was pissed off. Like I had to teach all my classmates animation at the time, and that's where my teaching.
Didn't you redesign all the characters too?
Yeah, like I cried because I hated the designs really badly. Because at the time I didn't voice myself, right?
Uh-huh.
Now I know. Yeah. Oh, that's a proper thing. Always voice your concerns, right? Like the sooner you get a red flag out for everybody, it helps everybody, right? Like. Everyone can be relieved of their traumas sooner before it becomes trauma. And then for naivety, that one actually goes more for if you think you're like, if you're overthinking your animation, or maybe, okay, you know what, here's a better way. For dating, right? The first time you date anyone, you're very pure and all that. But then as you get to know society, you have to date again, even if you think like it's not worth it, or you know the poison that people are, because people are not just happy people, right? They're everything. They're humans, right? You get rid of your delusions, and then you go back into it, right? I don't know if that answers.
It kind of does, but also like a follow-up. I don't know, sorry, this might get a bit real, but do you worry that your own delusions get in the way of working on?
All the time. Yeah. You will always be delusional. That's why therapy is very important. You start journaling, maybe in the morning you write to yourself every day, and you start breaking down, hey, maybe I'm too optimistic about these things. Actually, I'm very optimistic, but like you start realizing, okay, maybe I'm the problem, maybe, I don't know, like what exact problem do you feel, for example?
We don't have time for that.
All right, sure. Then,
but it's just more so, let's say, just I get in my own head, and that I feel like that clouds my ability to get work done.
yeah,
So it's like part of the paralysis part.
that's gonna be a lifelong journey with both of us. And the funny part is, with all of us, we all actually have the skill, and the whole point for 20s or 30s, you're actually undoing the restraints you put on yourself. Because suddenly, like, you're, working from home, every day's the same. Suddenly you realize, I'm the one restricting myself, and I actually have way more ability than I think. And yeah.
I think the best thing to do at that point is just start doing something, anything, like what Jim was talking about earlier. Once you start working towards a finish line of sorts, then you'll pushing past all the other things you gotta worry about, right? Just like work on one thing at a time. It's better to do something than do nothing at all, especially when you have a quota. I had a lot of coworkers who had stuff happen and they couldn't finish their quota, and that's not their fault or production's fault. Well, sometimes it was production, well, that's besides the point. It's just life, right? So like treat yourself kindly and with respect, and just work towards a obtainable goal, and then whatever happens after that, you can worry about that as that comes. Because you have to work towards the present. Thinking about what ifs in the future or what happened in the past, it's not going to help you. You have to focus on the now.
Yeah. Going to the what ifs part, like, just because we tell you all this, like, you can still screw up in life. Totally okay. Just because you know the answers and what you should do doesn't mean you have to until you hit a wall, right? Until you hit that traumatic incident. Because life is gonna teach you your lessons. You're gonna meet a lot of people. You still gonna screw up at work, totally okay. And that's when you truly change, when you get that experience. So just fall forward and let yourself fail, right? Yeah. So you over there, did you have a question? Debbie? Wait, no?
That's my name, yes, but I don't have a
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Anybody?
I have a question.
Yes, Jim.
I know from when you guys graduated, the industry has changed a lot. What would I saw that. Have you run into any of the situations, and what would you say to us who are a little scared about what the industry is going to be like when we get out?
All right, that's a big question.
Sorry, loaded
no.
question.
Okay,
I mean, it's the truth for you guys, and that's just how it is. And the industry will be always fluctuating. This could happen again in another 5 years, 10 years even, right? Like knowing like a way to navigate through it, or like some kind of safety steps to follow is fine.
The way my directors put it, it was never a recession, right? Jobs were always tough to get in the past. It's just the recent, like my generation, it had this surplus, and that's where people got this fake illusion of like easy jobs in society. But the thing is, Barney's generation and stuff actually created the jobs, right? So like we have to be strong in the sense that we have to realize eventually we're the ones who make the jobs. We make studios. Somebody has to do it, right?
And the clients get the grants and all that.
And my other tip would be like, don't enter any negative whirlpool where everyone starts complaining as a group and they meet up to complain, but they don't look for solutions, right?
Like an echo chamber.
Yeah, echo chamber. So sometimes, unfortunately, you might want to cut yourself from friends after graduation. That's okay. And you can be your own role model, or I can be your role model. I don't know. like you want to stick yourself to positivity or be your own positivity. Because after graduation, you live your own individual life. You shape whatever life you want for your own happiness, right? You can be as happy as you want, and that's actually extremely attractive, right? But if you're really scared, don't hesitate to ask. We'll put the time in to help. And we're not going to give easy answers. We're going to challenge you with critical thinking. For example, oftentimes you might ask, well, what did you think of my film? What did you think of my drawing? And I might ask, how did you feel? Like, what do you think about your film?
Ooh, turn it around.
Yeah, how do you feel about your rig, right? And you actually know the answers deep down within, right? Because if I just give you flattery and praise, you're gonna depend on it, and you're gonna ask the next person, and you always feel bad. So if you truly hate your art, you actually have the answers deep down for yourself, right? I would say that might be the biggest lesson I would say, because sometimes the answer is right there inside you. If you truly don't know it, like totally ask. Barney's right here. He will help you after graduation a bit. So yeah.
You gotta swallow that hard to swallow pill.
I will also say that your classmates will also be your connection into the network of open studios and doors, because these studios do send out in-house hiring emails once every production cycle, and your friends can help you get jobs that way. Because I've helped people get jobs that way. I've been helped getting jobs that way. Keep connected. Keep talking to your friends. It doesn't have to be every day or a month or something. It's no. Friends are people you rely on, people that rely on you. It's that kind of stuff. But on a more technical thing with job hunting, I think, is that you should at least update your reel every 6 months the latest. Because I know some people who do it per season. They make new demo reels. I've stuck to a 2-reel cycle. So every 6 months I'll try to make a new reel whatever I have or personal things. It's just so that even if you don't get hired right away, if you keep applying to one studio and they keep seeing you're changing your stuff up, it's showing that you're improving, that you're trying to work better. So it puts you more in a positive light when it comes to applying if you're still applying to the one same studio.
Yeah, they do check. They'll be like, I told you to fix this at the job fair. This is the same reel.
So if you have potential and they see it, and they see you keep working towards that potential, it could help you getting hired.
And it looks really bad if they already gave you advice, because that's what happened to me once. I gave the same demo reel after job fair talking to Jeffco, and they were like, he didn't listen. That means if we hire him, he's not gonna listen, right? Yeah.
And and just keep your eye out on job applications and stuff like that. And you don't have to go into the industry with the more popular job roles. I got in with revision, and I have been in revision for the last 4 years. That's not really a job role that gets advertised, much as let's say animator, storyboard artist, rigger, and stuff like that, right? Keep your options open, especially just to get your foot in the door. And depending on the studio you're in, you could work towards other roles. It just depends on the studio structure, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, there's scene sub, production manager, coordinator, so many roles you could get.
And you can still do animator, effects artist, and other jobs while you're in your role even too. Because I've worked in assets, I've worked in scene setup, I've done effects for a stint. I've done a lot of random stuff while still being a revisionist.
And I have friends who graduated from here. They work at Chick-fil-A, the airport, accounting, all forms of jobs. There's no shame, right? You take your time while getting your job. I wouldn't beat yourself up over it.
Yeah, the industry is volatile in that sense.
Unfortunately, nowadays, yes. And I already lost my train of thought. So Oh, right, don't get arrogant once you get your first job.
Oh, there are so many horror stories of people getting backlisted. Don't be those people.
Like some of our classmates were very arrogant after getting hired, and I can't say Barney, but like basically they thought they were job secure, and they never really studied, right?
Was it Jeff Bruno?
No, he's amazing. Hello.
Hi, how did you distinguish, in that sense, because we're taught a lot in portfolio class to be really confident and to like know our work and stuff. How do you distinguish arrogance from like self-worth and confidence?
That's a very good question. So, like, this is where you might screw up sometimes and be too humble and you screw yourself over, right? Because I was told often in school I was arrogant or like somebody got hurt because unfortunately when we're in a blind situation where like everyone is in sensitive places right now and they might offend each other or they might pick fights with each other for no reason. So you might become too modest and then your senior might lecture you, like that happened for me. They're like, as they started to discover my ability, they're like, you're so humble, you're taking jobs away from yourself. So when I say arrogance, I mean like, do you ever feel like you're looking down on people or you think you don't have to study anymore, right? So when you're on the job, if you're truly focused and you're trying your best to communicate, you don't even have to be skilled, right? Like the best thing you can do is be human on the job. Say, like if you have concerns saying, I'm very sorry I did this badly, I don't think I'm doing this right. That's not arrogance, right? But if you're also what is confidence really?
I'm gonna pause you there for 2 seconds. Something my old supervisor used to tell me was that you want to follow the people in the industry, not the pay. You want to work with good people. You want to work with people that you work well with. Because at the end of the day, animation is a team effort. If you can't work with a person two chairs next to you, it's gonna end badly.
Yeah. I have 2 tips for confidence. One thing is confidence is literally self-respect. It's not showing off that I'm better than everyone, right? It's just more like, hey, I love myself. I worked really hard on this.
Yeah, just to add to that, confidence, I think it's acknowledging that you have worth, that you have skills, but also being able to acknowledge that you have room to grow and learn.
Absolutely.
I think that's what differentiates it from arrogance.
That's good. Confidence is the mountain I talked about, right? If you work hard on yourself every day from humiliation, then you deserve it. But here's another thing. If you truly don't have confidence, I have to ask, right? If you're so confident that you don't have confidence, isn't that your confidence you're not tapping into? Like you have all the confidence and like, does that make sense?
I think you lost me a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna beat you on that.
All right, I give up.
Judy, you just have to be confident.
Yeah, I'm very confident I can teach animation. Like, that's just from experience, right? But for guest speaking, I wasn't quite confident, but I rehearsed every day, right? And that's just developed confidence and it's something you're humble, right? By no means that's arrogance. I'll tell you what arrogance looks like actually. I was like told at work to teach somebody how to do rig animation, right? So I tried to be nice and I did the sandwich method where I'm like, I know you're good and all because you got hired, blah, blah, blah. And then the person replied, I know I'm good. That's why they hired me or something. And then they just didn't listen, right? A certain school with elitists, I would say. So, yeah, sometimes you might experience elitists and you will know immediately how not to act in society. And if you aren't really facing problems, right, chances are you're not arrogant, right? You can call yourself arrogant, totally fine, as long as it's respectful. Hello, Dad. Wait.
Sorry, another thing I want to add is like, if you're worried about being arrogant, you're probably not arrogant.
I can't hear you.
Sorry, if you're worried about being arrogant, you're probably not arrogant. Like
yes.
Usually, yeah.
So anytime you're worried about
Yeah,
something, chances are like you're the opposite, right? So yeah.
Like being aware of it is just one part of it, right? Then you have to work on like self-esteem. Like I went into the industry thinking that I was barely good enough to get in, that I was really lucky. But I can confidently say now that I can do the job if you give it to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't put anybody on a pedestal. Like all of you could easily surpass me in the future.
We could be co-workers on the next production hall, you know.
Yeah, that too. So like
we'll have to work lunch together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's online lunch.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you are quite literally the industry, right?
Turn on your camera and eat your lunch.
Yeah. Anyways, if any other questions? If not, I'll wrap this up and we'll look at your stuff.
No, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. I asked for the position for massive short time.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you kind of look at going into the freelancing?
Pardon?
Freelance.
Oh, okay. Freelancing is incredibly difficult, I would say. You have to learn how to do your own taxes. And one major disadvantage is you might not know, but studios pay half your CPP, Canadian Pension Plan. So as a freelancer, you might want to set aside like 33% of your income. Because you might think you're earning a lot, but chances are you might be earning less than somebody on salary, right? Just because if she earns $1,000 per week, then like
You get paid by frame, I get paid salary, so that's two different work styles.
I've done all kinds, right? I've done salary on freelance and I've done pay by frame. And yeah, if I get paid $1,200, if you subtract 33%, then it could be actually $900 per week. But if you're really smart with your taxes, you could kind of write it off, right? As for how to land freelance jobs, it's the exact same as how you landed a salary job, right?
Yeah, you just look for the job openings, you apply, and you have to like negotiate more for yourself.
So most times it's not by choice, right? You apply any normal way, but the studio just doesn't offer in-house, or you just live too far. All those kind of things are no benefits, right? Which sucks, but it is reality. And if you want to do cool projects on the side, work 2 jobs. I don't recommend it at first, but I've done 2 free jobs at once. That's horrible. Yeah.
The industry is tough, yes, but it's much easier to negotiate. Is that true or is that?
I'm gonna say yes and no, right? Honestly, it depends on your kind of toughness, because like some people are really good at self-studying, right? What I wanted to get across today was how to self-study and how to like help yourself after graduation and your mental state, right? Like you might not be able to learn Blender after graduation without help. Totally okay. You can specialize. Like, what exactly do you mean by tough? In terms of learning sake or
Or the workload, then it's usually easier because they're only focusing on one aspect of work now. Because in school, you're doing character, you're doing animation, you're doing effects, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing everything at the same time, right? But like when you're in the industry, you have your one role and you work on that role until the end of production. It's generally just that.
I think it's subjective. So if you take a normal job, which I'm gonna say, once you guys do passion jobs, if you really wanted to do like crazy jobs, you might actually grow really tired of it and want to do rig jobs because you already fulfilled all your life dreams. I fulfilled all mine already. So, but then the funny thing is, I tried to get rig jobs, but accidentally got the Ninja Turtle job because they said, "Oh, it's a rig animation job." I was like, I'm gonna make a huge sacrifice for money. And suddenly they ask for hand drawn. And yeah. As for difficulty, like I always struggled with every single job up until now. Oh, that's another thing, right? Every time you start a new job, it might be a whole new experience, right? Yeah.
Especially if you're working on 2 different styles, all of a sudden it's really fun to just really learn how to animate something different.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. So the jobs that you have had, do you feel like the people that trained you, worked with you, do you feel like there was enough time and patience given for you to adjust and learn how they do things?
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Especially if you're starting off as a junior, they will give you the time and like teach you the steps on how to do things properly. Like when I first started my job, I was set on special posing for a month just to learn how to use rigs properly from scratch. And that helped me because then I could do this. I used the rigs better than some of the animators they hired afterwards. That says a lot.
So I forgot to say for quota, it's accommodated. Just because they say 10 seconds a week doesn't mean your first, like, if you like go into the secret files for the Excel sheet, they actually write like 5, 7, 8, 9. So they gradually let you grow into the job.
You always start off with a baby quota. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. If you are a junior animator or any position, you don't actually have to feel burdened because everyone will carry you. And most seniors, they don't mind taking extra load for your sake, right? Because how do I say? I did a senior and junior job before, so like my first time doing a junior job was like 3 or 4 years in, like because of bad luck, I would say. So the first time I did Agent Elvis, Agent King, I did really horrible on that job. But the whole studio like had so many animators make up for my horrible.
Yeah, they help you out, and then you learn from that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every job, like every senior will tutor you. Like if you're unlucky, then maybe not. But from my experience, like seniors, like they're really fast to the point they have so much time to teach. And they will just chill out in the studio and start lecturing you and telling you you're naive. Yeah, so they do teach. And as a freelancer, there is one huge benefit, or maybe even salary, work from home. Nobody sees when you're working. You can sleep all day if you really want. You don't have to work 5 days a week as long as you meet the deadline. So
unless you work on salary, they actually track your hours.
Yeah, that's why I like freelance because I'm very lazy.
And I love VPN hours.
Yeah, in that sense, yeah, you could be good enough that you don't ever struggle again in life. Like
that'd be so nice.
Yeah, the shots will be very easy as long as you break it down to baby steps, right? Because a walk cycle is just like 4 keyframes or 2 keys to break down, and you just in between it really damn fast, right? So yeah, when we talk about specialization, yeah, you will be very comfortable. Just because life is hard now, there's still light at the end. Yeah.
Like just another quick random thing. Always do your easy shots first. Never leave your easy shots for later. If it's tempting, don't do it. Leave your hard shots for later because those will murder you if you're not careful.
Yeah, a lot of studios say prioritize hard shots first, but for me that never worked because sometimes I might take 3 weeks on a hard shot, and as my quota stacks, like the depression eats away at you. And as a freelancer, they will give away your easy shots because like the deadline approaches and you lose so much money. Yeah. So I would recommend do all your baby shots first.
Yeah, when I was working on stuff too, the same thing is because you feel good when you finish a shot. So then you just be like in the morning, I'm gonna do these 2 easy shots, and then I'm off for the races, and then I'll jump into stuff.
And the best part with easy shots is reuse.
Yeah.
As a freelancer, you could out-earn salary as well. Sometimes you might just get a shot where you hit the clean button for the camera and get $300. I've done that so much. So yeah, it's fun up there if you can make it fun. It'll be fun, I promise.
When do you actually, when do most people actually after you start looking for a job? Because I find even if you get accepted now, it's kind of hard to juggle it with school.
Yeah.
You have to start early, unfortunately. There's no workaround on it. The sooner you start looking, the sooner you find any opportunity you can get your hands on. Like even when you're in studio, and if you're not guaranteed a rollover, you have to start looking at least 2 months before your contract ends, because you're not guaranteed to come back. Like me and my co-workers all like, we had this little study session about, okay, which scenes can we take? Which scenes can we make into a demo reel? And then we just passed our resumes around like musical chairs just to double check each other. And then we were off to the races afterwards.
When did you start looking for school?
Now.
Yeah, it was literally during the middle of like short film animation.
Yeah, I think I got hired in March.
Yeah, you got hired like one of the earliest ones. I got like midway in.
When did you guys when did you guys graduate?
2019, yippee! Right
Yeah.
before pandemic.
We worked about 6 months, and then pandemic started.
Yeah, so we got the studio experience and the work from home experience, and then kind of hybrid, kind of not really. I never took the hybrid though because I was too lazy to bus downtown for 2 hours.
Yeah, that depends. But I got really lucky. I met a lot of those old DreamWorks, whatever guys, like the grandpas, and they taught me right before COVID. And then I did Green Eggs as a cleanup artist from memory, right? Because they only taught me once in person, and I saw them like in between without flipping much, perfectly on model, perfect arcs, everything perfect. Because that's the thing with in-house. You don't know how high and achievable the skill set is until you've seen a master work, right? Because up until now, you're with your friends, and you might not know how capable you can become until you meet real seniors. Yeah.
That's cool. You got like ancient wisdom.
It is ancient, yeah.
I used to like be able, because we had rolling office chairs, I used to just like roll down the computer rows just to see what everyone was doing, then roll back to my table and finish working. That was much fun back then.
Yeah, for sure. Walk behind, like as I remember 9th Story, I just walked, like I've met everybody in every department, but you go and just stand behind people and watch them animate, and it's like eating their heart.
Yeah.
And then another thing I would say for like working in revisions as your first job though, you get to eat everyone's work essentially because you're fixing everyone's work.
Yeah.
I picked up so many little tidbits of like animation habits I love to this day from just doing that.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we survived in the industry. I did rig mixed animation for Charlotte, but then they made me a revisionist for the freelancers work for like 2 months, and they took away all my fun scenes to carry the revisionist. And then like I just got to eat up literally all the directors' drawing skills and like everything they needed. And then for Green Eggs, I actually cleaned like people, like ancient, amazing people. The first thing they asked before I applied the job as well, they said, you know, the John Pomeroy's working on there? Are you sure you want this job? Like, because they were basically trying to say this job's so hard you might not make money. And I was like, yes, please help me get the job. And make it apparent. Tell your workers or your boss or whatever that you're looking for work and what kind of work. Because you might be able to do more than just say animation, character design, layout, anything, right? But they don't know because you only gave a demo reel. That's why we need to make a website sometimes. Or we just ask. Right?
Yeah, just talk to them.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt. Like they mistake, like when I was at 9th Story and I was rolling over to a new production, they mistook me for someone else, okay? So I got rolled on earlier than expected by like a month and a half. You know what they did to me? They tossed me to assets. I worked on assets for a month and a half. I got paid for it.
They thought you were a different person the whole time.
No, so like when I first got introduced to the team, they thought I was the posing artist because apparently our names were similar. Again, I'm a Chris. There's many Chris's. There's never any Chris's everywhere.
Yeah, there's also lots of Jimmys in the industry. The person behind me was named Jamie. So every time they called for a meeting or some trouble, it was stressful.
Yeah, but so they were asking me if I wanted to wait like 2-3 weeks. And I'm like, just roll me on now. I don't care. Just give me something to do.
Yeah.
So I get extra money. And I got to work in assets. Everyone, please respect your asset artists. I swear to God, the things assets go through is insane.
Oh, that's another thing. I want to make sure we're not overhyping the industry because like it's kind of just an office job at the end of the day. And you get your job, you live your life, and you have a personal life, right? You might have to put more hours, depends on you, right? But it's not impossible to get a job, right? That's just your fear speaking.
Oh,
yeah.
Thinking about extra hours. Try to avoid doing ghost hours. You don't need to do ghost hours as a junior.
I've done so many ghost hours.
Don't, yeah.
Is it like hours that you're not counting?
Yeah.
To ghost hours.
Like no overtime pay, basically.
Yeah, so like it's like extra time you're putting in to finish your quota that isn't on record to be paid for you. Because those are considered ghost hours. Like you're working more to make a product higher level than what you're capable of normally. And that sets you up for kind of semi-failure if you can't keep up that quota output.
Yeah, that's how it's screwed.
Only do
In those
extra hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do what you can in your hours because that's going to be your baseline of how much you can do normally. Studios usually have pre-approved overtime pay. Sometimes it's applicable, sometimes it isn't. But before you're ever doing any overtime, ask if that's a thing, if you want to catch up or not. Sometimes you just offer it too. I did overtime for a month and a half that way.
That's another thing. Sometimes you're growing into your quota. So just because they say 10, 40 seconds, doesn't mean you have to be able to do it on your first month. You're a work in progress. Eventually those seniors, they always do the 40-second or more.
Yeah, usually 2 weeks on a job, then you can be shitty and you'll still get paid salary. And then after that, then you hit the ground
it's
running.
like the 2 weeks to a month landmark is like where you have to start like fitting into the role. And after that, it's like if you don't keep up, that's your own fault.
Yeah. And the first 3 weeks or first 3 months of your first job might feel like a year. Yeah. I felt like I aged 10 years.
Oh, I didn't even have time to think, man. I was just trying to get ahead and keep up.
This final year is aging me 10 years.
Yeah, I have a lot of white hair.
Funny story about our final year though. There was a point where my director came over to me and said, hey, we're gonna have to fix the comping for every single scene. And I spent a solid minute cursing during Ryan and Adam's effects class in the morning because I was like, I need a second. And then once I was done, I was like, okay, Ryan, I'm good now.
Yeah, it was scary.
What month was that where you guys had to
Final month, and I had to
the final month?
Yeah, and we had to fix all our comp. Okay.
What film did you work
on? To you.
And also, what happens so that we cannot have that happen?
Communicate.
Oh yeah, communicate. Make sure you like set everything up for like a certain time frame to work out.
What was the
but
issue
also
with
don't do
comping?
last minute changes.
Yeah.
Last minute changes will murder you.
What was the issue with comping? Sorry.
Yeah,
it was either because we had this particle effect in some of the scenes to mimic dust moths, and I forget the reason why we had to fix it. Problem was the dust moths, and it was like because they're in these specific scenes, but these scenes hook up with these other scenes, but these other scenes didn't have it like these scenes. So we had to populate all those other scenes with the dust moths, and that took a while. And this was on the day they were editing everything together too, and I was like, I had to rush to put all the dust moths into every scene that we missed.
Okay.
So just plan properly. You're fine.
Okay.
Just don't do last minute changes.
Any other advice you guys have for our film year?
Yeah,
Like
do buffer weeks, and that's also for the industry, right?
Oh yeah, you always need like 1 week to like review, go over, do any fixes that are feasible fixes. Don't do impossible fixes, just feasible fixes. You don't have time for that shit.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say don't depend on a buffer week, but it exists. So for example, on the real job, right? Like I had an overdue deadline, but I didn't kind of kill myself in my head because I knew like a good production always has 1 extra week hidden from your eyes. So
yeah, you set the deadline like earlier.
Yeah, no, it's just to
time.
force yourself to like aim for that, but you don't have to like finish by that. It's better to have something done than not having anything done at all.
Yeah.
Some jobs also have performance reviews, so they'll tell you communicate, right? It's okay that you're slow, but we could have given the cuts away to somebody else to help you, right? But I wanted money, so I screwed my reputation, but that's okay.
Yeah, another random term I learned at work was zombie shots. Shots that keep coming back no matter how many times you fix them. You don't want those. They're not fun.
Yeah, you could go to you could go to version 17, 20. I've seen version 38 before, so.
I think I was at 57 of them.
Yeah, but it's okay to have revisions, right? You learn from that incident, and the next time, like I rarely get revisions anymore. So yeah.
Okay, let's cut these guys off now. We'll go on break and then we'll come back. But give a big round of applause for Jimmy and Chris.